Okay, and we are live on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in, and turning on to Love and Money Secrets TV. Today we have a very exciting guest. His name is Bob Campbell. He happens to be the Senior Presidential Director for the LifeWave Stem Cell Patch Company. And I am so excited because he is going to give us his personal story and his quest as to how the stem cell patches basically revolutionized and reset his body and life in a completely unimaginable way. So Bob, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You are in Florida, so it's 3 hours later for you. So I so appreciate that you're willing to come on here to be live with us tonight.
Well, it's so seldom that anyone wants to put up with me that I'm thankful to be here. So
you're so sweet. So that our viewers and listeners can relate to you and kind of get to know you better, before we jump into your story, can you tell us a little bit about where you were born, and were you from a family of just one child or 10? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in a little steel mining and coal mining town and agriculture in Ohio. And it was right on the Ohio River, right across from West Wheeling, West by God, Virginia. And so I grew up there. That's where I spent my childhood and high school, and married a girl from there. And she had parents in Florida. And before we got married, I think I was 20 and she was 21. We wanted to meet. She wanted to introduce me to her parents, which I didn't think was a good idea, but she did it anyway. So we went down to Florida, and while I was there, I bought a property. And I had been working since I was 11 years old. I started cutting grass with a hatchet. I would trim the grass with a hatchet, and I used one of those old some of the people online won't know what this is, but there was a blade spinning push lawnmower, and there was like 5 blades. They would spin and cut the lawn as you push them. There was not remote power, not remotely powered or anything. You had to push it, and then as I say, to edge, I used a hatchet. I get down on my knees and go along the sidewalk and use the hatchet to edge. So that started when I was 11, and my parents didn't really have any money. So they taught me what money I earned to save, and they allowed me to spend 10% of my money. So if I made $1, I got to spend a dime. And back then a dime would buy you an ice cream cone or whatever. But anyway, so I saved my money from 11 until I was 20. And then when we went to Florida with my future wife to meet her parents, this is kind of a silly story. I hope it's not too long, but her mother was sort of, shall we say, witchy. And I was sitting they'd never met me. I'm sitting at their breakfast table, and her dad had gone to work, and he was wonderful, by the way. But I said, boy, it's beautiful down here in Florida, because I'd never been out of Martins Ferry, Ohio, my little town. And I said, I should buy a house down here. Well, she thought that I was trying to impress her daughter and her. So she immediately called me on it and said, great, you want to buy a house? I'll get my friend who's a real estate agent. We'll go looking tomorrow. Much to her chagrin. 20.
You were 20. Oh my gosh.
I was 20. And I said, okay, let's go, which shocked her. And I'm naive at this time. I don't realize she's being a witch. I'm just thinking she's going along with us, but she's really trying to put me down, right? So anyway, we looked at about 5 houses the next day, and I said, I think I'll buy that one on Grove Circle. And her mother about dropped her teeth. And so the next day I bought that house, and I paid cash for it. So that kind of set the stage for us to move to Florida later. I rented that house out and for 2 years or 3 years. And then we had our first child. And after about a year and a half, we moved to Florida because we already had a house. I had another house in my little hometown. Then I rented it out and we moved to Florida. So anyway, that was the story, but I am an only child. And so the best people I've ever known in my life were my parents.
Oh,
So, yeah. And
wow.
something interesting, if I may share this, my
Mhm.
parents, I lived at home. We didn't get married till I was 21. I lived at home till I was 21. And there was never an argument in my household. Not one.
That's wonderful.
Because my parents looked at each other with love,
Mm.
always.
Wow.
So,
That's
so
beautiful.
I was very fortunate to grow up in that environment. So anyway, and then I got a job at the post office, and I started working there, and I worked there for 20 years. And now well, actually, it was a few years later I got a job at the post office. So now I'm about 27, and I worked the post office for 20 years, but I had bought so much rental property, I was able to retire at 48. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, but I will tell you this, that when I was a kid and living at home through high school, we never went out to dinner one time in my whole time that I lived at home because they didn't have the money. So even with just the three of us. So anyway, that was a very great life lesson because I learned to save money. And I learned when I bought that property, if I have one and rent one, it's sort of like if you're a kid and you buy a bike, you buy a second bike to rent it, it'll pay for both bikes.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I learned. And then, yes, go ahead.
I was good. That's brilliant that you were able to grasp those concepts that young and to implement them. And it fared you very, very well because it created a nice stability for you throughout your life.
Yeah, I just thought it was the normal thing to do because I remember my mother owned a home. My mother and dad owned a home in our little town, and my mother always wanted a dream home. And my mother and father saved all their dimes and nickels, why we never went out to dinner. And my dad said, if you want that home, I'm gonna get it for you. And he had his fingers cut off in a mill accident in 1938. And so he had to work the lowest paying job in the mill, which was pushing a buggy around and picking up scrap metal.
Wow.
And my mother never worked. And on that little salary that my dad made, they saved enough money to buy that home that my mother wanted. But she said to me one time in that home when I was about 14, she said, honey, if we didn't have that home if I didn't rent that home in Martins Ferry, we'd never be able to live here. And that stuck with me. And that's why at the age of 20, I bought rental property.
Good for you. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So in the course of all that, I played a lot of sports. And by the age of 23, and I was born in 1950, my feet were so bad, I could stand for about 1 minute, and then I'd be looking for a place to sit down because of the pain. And very unusual. But I was brought up in an atmosphere where you never complained. You never complained about anything. And my dad had his fingers cut off in a mill accident. On his left hand, they were all cut off except for his thumb. And on his right hand, the three middle fingers were cut off to the middle knuckles. And so he lived his whole life from 1938 through he died in 1968, 30 years without any fingers. And I never heard that man complain once in his entire life.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So I had no room to complain about anything. So anyway, my feet started to get bad and my knees started to go bad. By the age of 28, 1978, I started having operations. And I've had a total of 12 foot operations and 5 knee operations, 1 knee replacement. Ooh. And the other knee was scheduled for replacement. But anyway, so I had that kind of stuff happen, which was all we accepted it all. That's just the way it was, right? So when I found out about the patches, I actually uh, started the patches 2 years and 3 months ago. And after all those operations that I had, by the way, Lillian, my pain came back within a year after every single operation, all the way back. And I
Wow.
slept for years with my feet dangling over the end of the bed because my feet hurt so badly I could not touch the bed with them at nighttime. The
Oh my
pain was too severe. Yeah. So both of my surgeons told me that I had the worst feet they'd ever seen in their practice. So I had that going for me. So, so anyway, it sounds sad, but because of my upbringing, you just went forward. It didn't matter. So, but when
So did you
prior to
have
the fact,
did you have trouble walking?
I was in pain every minute of the day.
Wow.
Every minute of the day. Yeah. And I at one time for about 3 years, my feet, not only did I have to dangle them over the end of the bed, and this is going to sound crazy, but I could not put a sheet on top of my feet. The pain of the sheet touching my feet hurt too badly.
Wow. So you had severe neuropathy and neuralgia.
I had plantar fasciitis actually to the nth power. Yeah, both
Wow.
of my surgeons said they'd never seen feet that bad.
I've never heard of anything that bad.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody has. But anyway, when I found the patches and I always was tired my whole life because I never slept well. I would, since a teenager, I would sleep an hour, be up for 2, sleep an hour, be up for 1. And so my energy level, even as a teenager, I literally had to take a nap every day to get through the rest of the day. And I've done that every day of my life. I'm 72. I've had to do that almost every day of my life. So 2 years and 3 months ago, I get on the patch. And at that point, within the first 7 to 10 days, my energy level doubled, which was amazing. And my business partner, Amy, who I think you know, had fibromyalgia. And within her first 7 days on the patch, 10 days, her pain level dropped in half. Now, Amy's only 56. So she was astounded. And she said to me, and I'll never forget, it was very profound. She said, Bob, if we don't share this with people, it's criminal. That was how impressed we were in the first 10 days. And within 6 to 7 weeks, and the reason I can't give you definite times is because I never expected any of this to happen. So I didn't keep track of it. But in 6 to 7 weeks, I started sleeping for the first time in my life 6 to 6.5 hours straight through. And then my energy level went through the roof. And after taking a nap every day since I was a teenager, I have not had to take a nap since that 6th or 7th week in on these patches. My energy level when I wake up in the morning is good. I'm ready to go. And I used to drag my butt out of bed every day. Every day I would just lay there. And also when I did get out of bed, I didn't want to step down because of the pain in my feet. The pain and stiffness and swelling in my feet hurt like crazy in the morning. And so anyway.
So I don't know how you were able to be, because you were a postman, weren't you?
Yes, I walked every day. That was when we used to walk 5.5 hours a day in the sunshine with the bag, toting the bag.
I can't even begin to imagine the amount of sheer willpower and determination it must have taken to not just get out of bed, but then to go to work and be on your feet that were in constant pain the entire time. It must have been beyond, I mean, I don't think there are any words. Miserable is probably the grand understatement of the world.
Well, when I got home every day, my wife, bless her heart, would take my shoes and socks off. I'd lay down on the love seat with my feet dangling over because they couldn't touch the floor. And she would get, we had an ice bag, and she would get that ice bag and she would put them on my feet. And to try and get the swelling and the heat to go away. But before she did it, we got to get into a game. and she would put her hand, see how far away from my foot she could put her hand and still feel the heat from the inflammation.
I bet.
I mean, that was a game we played.
Wow.
So you just made the best of the situation, whatever it was. And then I also coached my daughter and my son in basketball and baseball. So I was standing there a lot. And but you just didn't complain. That's how I grew up. Everybody's got something and you just move forward. So getting back to my little story with the patch, within 6 to 7 weeks, I started sleeping. And then about 3.5 months in, I've had prostate cancer, by the way, for 14 years.
Ooh.
And I have been taking a little red pill every day to be able to urinate. I took that pill for 12 years, every single day. Twice in 12 years, I forgot to take it in the morning. And by 11 a.m. to noon, I could not urinate at all. And that was a very scary feeling. So about 3.5 months in on the patch, and one day I go to the bathroom and my flow is strong. And I got the bright idea, what if I stop taking this little red pill? What'll happen? I stopped taking that pill after every day for 12 hours so that I could urinate. And I have never had to take that pill again.
Wow.
I actually am able to go to the bathroom like I did in my 30s. And I just can't believe it. I truly don't understand it. I'm so thankful and grateful, but that's where I am. So now I have to say that a lot of people get results on this patch quickly.
Yeah.
But overall, I did not. And after 6 full months, my pain in my feet and my knees did not seem to want to go away. And I just thought, well, I've been that way since 1973. 1978 was my first operation. And I thought, it's just not going to go away. I've had it, for almost 50 years.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, it's not going to go away. And luckily, Lillian, on the 7th month that I'm on the patch, I wake up one morning, and as I said, I always hated to step down, and I had to go to the bathroom. I got up, went to the bathroom, and I come back and I sit down on the edge of the bed. I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going, something is different. What is different? What is different? And it dawned on me. I had no pain, no stiffness, no swelling in my feet or my knees. I also had something wrong with my shoulder, and it was gone. And the arthritis in my hands was gone. Everything was gone, as if somebody flipped a switch, which I'm sure was getting better all along, but I probably wasn't noticing. And then this miraculous boom, it was all gone. And it's never come back. And that's been, 20 months. And I've never had pain again. I'm actually playing basketball again at 72 with my son and my grandson.
You're playing
now,
basketball.
I'm not playing running up and down the court, but I'm shooting and running after the ball. And I couldn't run 10 years ago. I'm on the 2nd floor of a condo. And 10 years ago, I had to use both hands to pull myself up those stairs with my knees and my feet. 10 years ago. Now I can actually run up and down my stairs.
That's incredible, Bob.
Yeah.
So to say that this has not only given you your life back, but it's drastically changed the quality of your life, where I can imagine that, when you're in constant pain, most people, when they're in constant pain, you get grumpy because you don't feel good, and everything is painful and irritating. And so to be able to be pain-free, and the beauty of these stem cell patches, you are not just pain-free, where it's not just masking the pain, where it's still there's damage going on. No, the pain is gone, and your body has been reset and rebuilt and restored to a healthier, younger state. So there's no damage that's going on where the pain is being masked. The pain is gone, because the body has been reset and restored. So that's why you're able to play basketball for the first time in 50 years. This is
Yeah. Well,
extraordinary.
I actually still played into my 30s. I just put up with it. But yeah, since my 30s, I haven't played. So yeah,
That's
it's, I said to my son the other day, I said, I just can't believe this. I cannot believe that I'm walking around barefoot, which I could never do. I always had to have socks and shoes on for the cushion to try and cushion my feet to eliminate some of the pain. So now I can go barefoot. I can, it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. So then I have more to this story. As a mailman and walking 5.5 hours in the sunshine in Florida every day for 20 years, and being a man, Amy always says, you're a man, that's why you're stupid. So I did. She loves me, but she tells me the truth. So, but I was red-haired as well, fair skin, red-haired in the sunshine, and never wore suntan lotion.
Oh my gosh. And the sun in Florida burns your skin just
Yeah.
5 minutes in the sun. I mean, I just got
Yep.
back before I met you, and just 5 minutes in the sun, you have to get in the shade because it is really strong.
It is. And that's how stupid I was. I just, I grew up in that thing where you don't complain, you don't have to do silly stuff. And I was stupid. And so I developed white cancerous scabs all over my arms, the backs of my hands, and the backs of my fingers on both arms and hands and fingers because of my delivering mail in the sunshine. And then I went to the doctor for it, and he said, well, if we don't burn these off, the cancer you're going to have is going to be deadly. And I can't remember what it was because I'm a man and I don't care. Just tell me what's going to happen, what I should do. So anyway, he burned them off. Well, he sent me to a specialist and they burned them off. It was the most painful thing out of all the pain I've ever had in my life, burning those off because they can't anesthetize you. And they burned it off the fingers, the backs of the hands, and that skin is not real thick. So anyway, they burned it all off, and within a year, it all grew back.
Oh my gosh.
He told me the same thing. You got to have this burned off again.
Oh.
And I said, is it going to come back? And he goes, I don't think it should. So they burned it off again, and I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I was actually crying. Tears were running out of the corner of my eyes.
Well, how could you not? That's like in Cold Flesh and Blood. They're like, literally burning your body. Oh my God.
Yeah. And guess what? It all came back.
Again.
So
it came back twice?
They did it. They burned it all off, came back, burned it all off, and came back again. So 3 instances of it. So anyway, at that third time, I kind of was putting it off, going back to get it done again. I didn't want to go through the pain.
Well,
it literally bothered me so much. That pain was horrific. And so anyway, but about that time, I got on the patches. And and don't quote me on the time, it's going to be close, 21 or 22 months in, I get out of the shower one day, and I didn't go 21 or 22 years or 21 or 22 months without a shower, but I went, I got out of the shower, and my arms, I looked down, and all of this white scab things, cancerous things, were gone. They're gone on both arms, both hands, and all of my fingers. There is one left right where I wear my watch on my left wrist, but the hundreds are all gone.
Wow.
Yes. And I don't know when they went away. I don't know if they went away. I guess they probably went away gradually, and I never noticed until that one day. Because sometimes, we get better. We forget where we were.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So anyway, 21 or 22 months in, which tells me this stuff continues to work. Your stem cells keep growing new, and they keep fighting whatever your body condition may be. So anyway, also got rid of my brain fog, which I
Oh,
had brain fog, and that probably happened within 5 to 6 months. The brain fog gone. So it's been quite a journey over the last 27 months.
so you've had quite a full body remodel, literally from
Yeah,
your DNA being turned on to it's built you really from the DNA level all the way on up and out. I mean, when I saw you in person, some people might say it's like, oh, on this video, because, the resolution is not as high definition. My friends and gems, if you saw Bob in person, he doesn't have a freckle or an age spot on his face. His face is pink and
yep,
luminescent and glowing. He looks happy and healthy.
I am happy.
You don't
And
walk with
I
a
seem
limp.
healthy.
You're not
Oh,
walking with a funny stride or anything because your feet are in pain. No, you are just
nope.
happy as a lark, the spitting image of health and vitality. And to know that you had to go through all this pain and suffering, this is a very high degree of pain and suffering that you had to endure for half a century. Holy cow, that's a whole lot. That's basically your entire adult life.
Yeah, pretty
You
much
spent-
close to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
from 20 to, till the last couple of years. So let's talk a little bit about, we live in this, God bless our hearts and souls, because we are, as human beings in the 21st century, we are so good about having so many technological advances where we have microwaves where, in minutes you can have, hot water, or we're used to the microwave results of things being fast and quick. We don't have to wait for snail mail correspondence to go through the USPS anymore. We can actually do both, and we can do USPS.
Yep.
We can do an instant email, and I can send you something right now, and within seconds, maybe minutes, depending on your server, but within minutes, you'll receive that email, electronic mail. So we're used to the instant results. However, the human body, it still takes, I'm going to say 7 to 9, because some of us have kids that are premature and they're, instead of baking for 9 months, they bake for 8 or for 7, but they're viable. They're still happy and healthy. But we're used to, we have a little impatience. And the reality is that our body, it takes time to create the body, and it takes time to restore and rebuild the body as well. And we know from science, we know from physiology that it takes up to 7 years to replace all 56 trillion cells that we have in the body. We have 23,688 genes that are responsible to put this whole orchestration together. And then over the course of 7 years, every single cell is replaced. And to the degree that you have good genetic blueprints, good stem cells will be the degree to which the replication is accurate, where there aren't any missing parts and components, so that you don't have chronic inflammatory diseases, you don't have medical conditions that are ailing you. And so oftentimes people want to take a pill that, instantly will give you a fix and you don't have to do anything else. But the reality is, you had results in the first 7 days to have your energy, just to have, what a game changer, to have your energy double in a week's time is phenomenal. But let's fast forward to 6 or 7 months, because 6 or 7 months later, you still had pain in your feet. You still had pain in your knees. You had pain in your skin. You had a lot of different places where your body is in pain. But you did have some progress. It just wasn't complete. So would you kind of give us a little insight as to what made you stick with it and not just give up? And you could have just thrown out the farm and said, you know what? Yeah, my pain is still here. And yeah, my energy is doubled, but you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to can it all. What kept you from doing that and instead going, you know what? I'm going to keep forging ahead, because I feel, or I sense, or I know that things are just going to get better. And the specifics weren't clear to you, but so can you kind of reveal a little bit and share with us what that thought process was like?
One of the things is Amy, my business partner, has been into natural health for 30 plus years, and she's only 56. And so she kind of explained to me, she goes, Bob, this continually is making new stem cells and your body is continually using them. So I understood that if I quit using the patch, I'm going to use up my stem cells and then I'm probably going to fall back to where I was. I didn't want to fall back to where I was because it was wonderful being new, being a new person. So I'll never stop using them. And also, Amy, she's the smart one of us, but she said very profoundly, within the first 7 to 10 days after we had our things happen to us, she goes, Bob, if we don't share this with people, it's criminal. And so our obligation, it is our obligation, we feel, to share this with everyone. We don't care what they do, but everyone needs to know it's available and out there for them. They can make their own decision.
But they can say no.
Yeah, everybody I speak to, when I went to my credit union today, I told 2 of the people there about it, and they go, "What is it? What is it?" And I gave them some information. When I went to my mechanic the other day, I was noted he's in his early 50s, but I noticed one of his hands, knuckles on his hands, was swollen, and I said, "Man," I said, "I know you mechanics must have pain in your hands and your wrist and your shoulders from all that." And he goes, "Oh yeah." He said, I really do. And I said, well, I finally found something that helped me. I said, I think it'll help you. And he goes, really? And I said, yes. And I gave him some information. But I also noticed that he had 2 huge dogs. They were, when I came in, they came to greet me and I was almost afraid, but they were like they acted like little sissy puppy dogs. And they were wonderful. And I started petting both the dogs. And I noticed when the white one, he had a tan one and a white one. The white one went to lay down. Both dogs were over 100 pounds. Oh, and when the white one went to lay down, he had a rough time laying down. And I told my mechanic, I said, let me share this with you. Not only would the patch help you, but when you're done wearing that patch, we're going to put it on your dog. And it's going to help that dog because animals get a quicker response than humans do. And he said, really? And I said, yes. I said, that's what you want to do. He goes, oh man, if my dog could be better. That was more important to him than him, was getting his dog. So everybody I talk to, the lady who checks me out at the grocery counter, if I notice something, or they'll say hi, because I speak to everybody because I was brought up to do that. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I was brought up to give a compliment when you see somebody. So you can always think, once you start giving people compliments, you're going to think of, it comes easier to give compliments. And when you see their face smile, it makes you feel good. So now, because I've been giving people compliments for all these years, when I go out, I give a compliment, and now they usually compliment me back too. And I say, yeah, I wasn't always doing this well. I used to have this, this, and this, but I finally found something that has made me well again. And they always go, what did you find? And I said, I'll give you some information and you can take a look at it. So I do that everywhere I go because I'm obligated to share.
Yeah.
And think of it this way. Yeah. Let's say you knew about the patch and we were friends. And this always tickles me because people go, well, I want to see if it works for me first. And I always say, well, let me give you a different perspective. I said, what is your issue? And they'll tell me their issue, whatever it may be, Parkinson's disease or headaches or whatever it may be. And I go, well, let's say I knew about the patch, but I waited until I felt better. And it took 7 months and I didn't share it with you. And I knew you had Parkinson's or you had migraines.
That's not,
or whatever it may be, or you had sciatica problems. But I wanted to see 7 months if it'll work for me. I said, would that be fair?
That's not fair.
Shouldn't I let you know right away?
You're denying me the right to check it out. And you
to make your own decision.
Yeah, it might take you 7 months, might take you 10 years. It may never happen for you, but it might work for me. So correct. Let me have access to it and then me benefit because I can't get yesterday back.
Yeah. Well, one of the girls I contacted at my credit union was only 17. She was still a senior in high school working at the credit union. And I said, I'm going to give you some information. I said, what do you know about stem cells? She goes, I heard of them. And I said, well, they're the future of healthcare in the world. And I said, I don't know if you've heard about the latest technology. She goes, no. And I said, well, I'm going to give you information on it because you need to know, as a student, you need to know there's more in the world except what you're doing here. And there's nothing wrong with that. I said, are your parents still with you? And she goes, yeah, I live at home. And I said, please give this information to your parents. If they're nearing 50, and she goes, they're both 50. And I said, they need to know about this. And so as I gave her the information, one of the other tellers is kind of trying to find out what I'm giving to her. And I said, just a second, I'm going to give you the same information. But he didn't know what we were talking about.
No, of course.
But he wanted to know because he saw me talking to her. So anyway, so I gave him the information. So I take the opportunity, and he was probably 25 to 30. And I said, check this out very carefully. I said, this is the cutting edge of the future of healthcare. And I said, you'll want to share this with your parents as well.
Yeah.
So they were both very grateful.
Yeah, that girl could be the linchpin that gives her parents maybe a new lease on life. And
yes,
you don't know what the circumstances are with their parents. Maybe they're fighting some sort of debilitating disease or condition, and maybe it's the one thing that will save their lives. Just like
correct.
It definitely saved your life without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh yeah. Listen, I get at least once every 2 weeks, I'll get a call from someone in tears thanking me for sharing because of what it did for them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no feeling like knowing that
it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, it warms your heart. It truly warms your heart. I've had people sobbing, thanking me. The first time that happened, I thought the lady's husband died. That's what I thought. And she goes, no, I just wanted to she was sobbing that hard.
Wow.
She had Bell's palsy and had it for over a year. And she has this beautiful smile, and people always complimented her. And she goes, Bob, you don't know this, but I haven't been out of my house for a year because people used to compliment me, and now all they do is stare. And she goes, I've been on the patches for 10 days. And she said, my Bell's palsy is completely gone. And my doctor said there was nothing they could do. So it doesn't always happen like that for everybody, but it happened like that for her. And you never know how it's good. Yeah. One of our presidential directors, Annie DeCoker, she always kind of manages the expectations of whoever she's talking to. And she tells people that typically half the people see results in 3 to 6 weeks. The other half, it takes 3 to 6 months. And we don't know where you're going to fall. And that will manage their expectations. And then when they some of them, they get results in a week or a day, they go crazy. They go, how is this possible? But your expectations were half the people see results in 3 to 6 weeks, the other half in 3 to 6 months. So you want to let them know it could take a while.
Yeah, it could very well. Some people feel, I'm going to talk about 2 people in my family that I put the patches on. My mother, who is recovering from shingles, I put the patch on her GV14, the bump behind her neck, which is what the clinical studies recommend. And immediately, as soon as I put it on, she's like, oh, I feel a vibration going down my spine. And I'm like, wow, that's instant. I said, that's a good thing. And so she's feeling much better, as a direct result of, wearing the patches. My daughter, as luck would have it, a day before I was scheduled to fly out to the stem cell convention where I met you, my daughter breaks her toe. She broke her big toe. And I had just finished up a call with a private client when she called me, and on the phone, she said, Mom, I think I'm about to pass out. I feel like throwing up. I just broke my big toe. And I said, oh my gosh, you're in shock. I'll be right over. And I knew immediately to get X39, X49, Eon, glutathione, Had I had Ice Wave, I would have taken Ice Wave with me, but I had just run out of Ice Wave, and I was waiting for another shipment of Ice Wave patches because they go like hotcakes. And so I figured, you know what, I'll use Eon in lieu of Ice Wave, because Eon is our anti-inflammatory patch. And I knew that since she broke her toe, that we needed to bring the inflammation down right away. I didn't know if we were going to have to reset it or not, but I knew that the more inflamed it gets, the more pain you have as well. So as soon as I got there, I immediately elevated her foot. She was on the floor, and I elevated her foot and I put an Eon patch. In fact, I'll show a picture right here. What's incredible about this story, she had a clean break all the way across the base of her big toe. The bone broke all the way across. So what's interesting is that I got her pain level from an 8 down to a 2 within like 20 minutes. And let me see if I can find the, then the other thing was that I told her, okay, I put a patch on the toe and on the side of the toe, an Eon patch, and I put X39, X49, and glutathione on her brainstem, because I wanted all of her stem cells to be signaling to turn on to send healing, you know, to her body. And so let me show you real quick here. I told her, I'm like, okay, in 6 hours, which is the half-life it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I figured by 8 o'clock, it'll be 6 hours. That's halfway through her wearing time, because she needs to wear the patches until 2 a.m. So as soon as she called me right at 8 o'clock, and sure enough, right at 8 o'clock, she had no pain. She said, Mom, I have zero pain. I have no swelling whatsoever. So in this first picture, you're going to see her foot is balloonish because, you know, she broke her toe. So you can see that I put a patch on top of the toe, and then I also put it on the side of the toe. So that's 2 Eon patches, which is the master anti-inflammatory. My idea was to surround the appendage on top and on the side so that you get full inflammation going down. So then 12 hours. So then the next day is Sunday. So you show this was Saturday the 13th, Sunday the 14th. Needless to say, her foot is now black and blue. The bruising set in, no inflammation, no pain. So that's her bruised foot.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Then the following day on Monday, incredible. You could see the red line across the base, which is where the fracture took place. No bruising.
Oh, that's the next day.
That's the third day. That's Monday.
Third day.
Monday.
Holy moly.
But the body is adjusting, right? So
yeah.
No bruising, no pain. It's tender. She can't put a shoe on yet. And it's tender to the touch. So she just can't bump it into anything because it's still healing. Interestingly enough, on Tuesday, the bruising came back.
Oh my.
So there's still work that's being done.
Yeah.
However, no inflammation, no pain. She was able to put her foot in a tennis shoe, and she was able to walk the dog for an hour.
Oh my.
And then
with a broken toe.
Yeah, with a broken toe. So this is Friday. This is basically 7 days later, because she broke her toe on a Tuesday at about 1:30. So now this is the following Friday.
All gone.
Still she never got any inflammation back after the first day that she broke her toe. No inflammation, no bruising, and her foot has been fine ever since. She's, this is the second week. So she's still having to be careful not to bump the toe into anything, but she says it never hurts. She's able to put her shoe on, take it off, not a problem.
Wow.
Had she not worn the stem cell patches, she would have been, classic textbook. It would be 6 to 8, maybe 10 weeks.
Yep.
But
yep.
everything is
and that's hard because you're putting your weight on there. I know, because every time I had an operation, I couldn't put my feet down for a week. They wouldn't allow me to put my feet down for a week.
Yeah.
So and I'll share one other thing. If I mean, did you want to say something else on that?
No,
regard?
that's it. That's just the thing. That's with a bone fracture. And she's not we have lots of people on our Telegram. We have like 3,400 people on our Be Activating group where we get tons of testimonials. Any condition, we have hundreds of testimonial per condition.
Yes,
So,
per condition. And you hear conditions that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. But I did have somebody remind me the other day, and I'd completely forgotten about this. I don't have dental insurance, and I got an infection in my gum by one of my teeth, and it got more and more painful. And I had it about going into the 4th week. I'm like, ugh, I'm going to have to go to the dentist. And then I got the bright idea, wait a minute, let me put an X39 here. So I couldn't even touch the area on my outer chin. I couldn't touch because of the pain, right? So I put the X39 on each day for 3 days. By the end of the 3rd day, this is the only time it ever worked quickly. The pain was completely gone. I never had to go to the dentist.
Wow.
The pain and the inflammation cleared up in 3 days. And what I still, even with the X39, I never would have believed that was going to happen. And yet it did. And I had forgotten about that. I haven't mentioned that for a long time. And I simply forgot, because we do forget about the issues that we had. When you're feeling healthy, you don't remember.
Yeah, you do forget. And so that's why it's
Yeah.
important to write them down, because we oftentimes do
Yes.
forget. And I love the fact that you put the X39 right on
it.
tooth, on the outside. There's something to be said for, whether you use X39. I think, it's such a powerful patch, because you're turning on 30% of your genes are turning on, and it's resetting it. It's putting a lot of light in your body. And so there's a lot of people, you would not believe the number of people that this year, and I don't know why the reason is, but it seems like there's an unusually high number of people with tooth abscesses above or below. And, when a tooth abscess is intended to, then the inflammation and the infection spreads. And a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that if you don't tend to an abscess of the tooth, that you're really close to the lining of the brain. And the next thing that happens is the infection then immediately spreads to the brain. You can actually die of a tooth abscess, and people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it can be very serious. Yeah, because the infection, once it reaches like the orbital eye region here, then it reaches the because you have everything is such a small area. Everything is connected. The lining of the brain with the the nasal cavity and the orbit of the eye, it gets access to the brain, and then you can literally get a brain infection, encephalitis. So it can be very, very, very dangerous. And you can pass from something like that, or there's very serious consequences that can come from that. But tooth abscesses are extremely painful.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly
Yeah,
painful.
very, very painful. Yeah.
But
Nothing like what I had with my feet, but it was it's still very, very painful.
To put something tantamount to a Band-Aid and just be able to go, boom.
Yeah.
Is
And 3
incredible.
days later. Yeah.
So I just started something today, which you may or may not notice. I have on the right a patch and on the left a patch. So I ended up putting Ice Wave on, because I saw that in our, we have the protocol book of all the different medical conditions that the doctors and the healthcare practitioners, we use. And so my vision's not 20/20. So I thought, well, why not do the protocol to get my vision to 20/20? I've got all the patches that I need to do that. And in order to do that, one of the protocols says all you have to do is take either energy enhancer or the Ice Wave patch, and you put one on the right. The white always goes on the right, and 10 goes on the left. So I'm doing a little experiment with myself. It's not a matter of, if it will work, because we know from scientific research, it always works. So if you're a human being, or if you're a mammal, if you're a dog, a cat, a horse, a bird. I just saw somebody earlier today, they put it on their bird and it worked immediately on their bird. So we know that if you have DNA in your body and you're a mammal, that these patches work. So now the
Yeah.
question is, how long will it take before my eyesight gets 20/20? So I'll report back to you and let you know how that goes.
But may I share something with you?
Please do.
So Annie the Coker has
Mhm.
a lady who is a good friend of hers who's 86.
Mhm.
And she lost her driver's license about 3 years ago because she could not pass the eye exam any longer. So they took her driver's license.
Oh,
And of course, it was very upsetting
of course.
for her. And then Annie introduced her to the patches. She started wearing the X39. And after a year or so, maybe a little over a year, and don't quote me on the time, Lorraine noticed she thought her eyesight was getting better. And so she went and took the driver's license test again. And she passed. And 3 years, almost 4 years prior, they took her driver's license away because she couldn't read the letters.
Wow.
Now, it gets even more interesting. She went to her surgeon who had been shooting her in the eye with a needle to stop macular degeneration. And he told her, he goes, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. You're going to go blind.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
This is after she lost her driver's license. So when she got her driver's license back, then she had another appointment to go see her specialist. And he says to her, he says, I don't know what's going on. He said, I've never seen this before. Your macular degeneration is reversing. He said, what are you doing? And she says, well, and Lorraine is very mild mannered. She goes, well, I'm using this little patch that my friend told me about. And he said, what's in the patch? And she says, nothing. She says, it sends light into your body and it makes new stem cells. And the doctor is looking at this 86-year-old lady who's explaining to him something he knows nothing about after going to med school. And he's a surgeon. And he was very interested. My family doctor of 30 years had to help me onto the exam table because he has a step about 10 inches high. And I couldn't raise my knee up or put enough pressure on my knee to get up there. He would always have to give me his arm so I could lean on him to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he starts to examine me. He doesn't realize that I went up there by myself because I only see him once a year. So he forgot that he helped me, right? So he goes, oh, I see that your swelling in your knees is down. And I said, no, it's actually gone. And so is all the pain. And so is all the stiffness. And my collagen has grown back and I don't need my second knee replaced. And he steps back and he looks at me and he goes, why is that? And I said, well, because of this little patch. And I took the patch off
Mm-hmm.
and I showed it to him. And I said, are you familiar with stem cells? He goes, yeah, I'm familiar with stem cells. And I said, have you heard about the latest technology in stem cells? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, this is it. And he said, really? And I said, yes. I said, well, he goes, how does that work? And I said, I said, you remember in school how they taught us that when sunlight hits the body takes the sunlight and creates vitamin D? And he goes, yes. And I said, well, there's organic crystals in here. And the light from our body activates the crystals. And when the crystals are activated, they send a light into our body, much like the sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of creating vitamin D, since it is a different frequency, it helps the body create brand new stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a very condescending manner, after about 10 seconds, he takes his glasses and looks over them and he says, well, Bob, stuff like that has a placebo effect. And I got offended, but I didn't let him know. And I said, really? And he goes, yes. And I said, well, you mind stepping back? Because he's standing right in front of me. So he stepped back. He didn't know what I was up to. I jumped down on the floor on both knees and jumped straight back up. And I said, tell me about that placebo effect. Remember, now he remembers that he used to have to help me make that step up to get on his exam table. And I said, so tell me again about that placebo effect. You know what his response was? Nothing. He said nothing. He didn't know what to say, but he wasn't. And then I said, and I forgot this. I said to him, would you like some information? You know what he said?
Mhm.
No, I'm good. He did not want to know.
Oh, interesting.
We hear that all the time. We hear it all the time from Western medicine. Now, here's what I responded. I said, that's very interesting that you've seen what I can do. And you've had to help me on this step for 10 years. And you have to help me down off of this table for 10 years. I said, and now you've seen what I can do. And you saw for yourself, there was no stiffness, no pain, no swelling anymore in my knees. And I said, what that tells me is because you don't want the information, you really don't care about me. And you don't care about your other patients.
You're not
And
really
I said, you've been duped by the pharmaceutical companies and you either don't care or you don't have the self-awareness to know it. I said, this is the last time you'll see me after 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what his response was?
Nothing.
He watched me walk out the door. That was it.
Yeah. It's
very disturbing.
It's sad for him because he has
Yes.
had access to superior knowledge that not only could change his life, but can change the lives of every single one of his patients.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he doesn't want to go that way. And some people will. It's just like anything else. Some people, even if they have a life-saving measure that can save their lives, some people still choose to pass. They you know. And so everybody has free will. And luckily there's enough of the doctors and holistic care practitioners and everyone. We have everything from chimney sweeps to girls that work at a chiropractor's office, the teachers, people from all walks of life that have decided, this life-saving technology has saved my life. And now they want to be a rep, for this company because, they can help change and impact people's lives. So Bob, this has been extraordinary. I love the story that you told me about Amy and Annie DeCoker. Annie DeCoker, we just interviewed her last week, and that girl went to hell and back more than once. Poor thing.
She died twice. She flatlined twice.
Yeah, on the table.
Two
She
different
flatlined.
times.
Yeah, it's incredible that I don't know how she was able to survive that, but and she looks fine. She's not blonde, she's not bald. Holy cow. She, in fact, 2 minutes before she came on air, would you believe she had just gotten off a skydive, just got into her car 2 minutes before. She's back to skydiving and incredible. She has an incredible story, incredible story like yours.
She won't tell you this. She is the #1 female skydiver in the world.
Oh, she is?
She is the #1 female skydiver in the world. She will not tell you that, but she is. Yeah. And I'm sure she told you that the one freak wind that blew her parachute down. And when she hit and she said, nobody else got hurt. And she said,
well, no, everybody got hurt, but hers body, like she was the only one where her whole body just broke.
But it was minor. Everybody else was pretty much minor, but she broke both of her hips, her lower back, and snapped her femur in half.
Yeah.
And died. Yeah, that was when they took her to the hospital. And then she came back, and now there's nothing to stop her. Nothing.
No, she's incredibly strong. In less than a year, she was back to skydiving again with all those fractures. I mean, to fracture your hip, but both sides of her hip and her femur and her back, and she's back to skydiving in less than a year. To me, that's incredible. And it's also speaking to the testimony to the incredible efficacy, how efficient these stem cell patches are. And it's not the stem cell patch itself, it's that the stem cell is signaling your own body to heal itself. Because the stem cells that you were born with, those are turned back on. So now you have a third of those stem cells that were off, they're now turned back on, and then it just goes to reset and repair everything. So
Yeah.
it's really remarkable.
It is remarkable. I'm amazed by it 27 months later. I'm just amazed.
I'm more and more amazed every day that I continue to learn more and more about these stem cell patches. So thank you so much. We're going to let you go. I know it's 3 hours later for you in Florida. It is 8 o'clock here, 11 o'clock for you. You're going to turn into a pumpkin at midnight. Or you're going to turn into the Superman of stem cell patches when you go to sleep. One or the other is going to happen, or both.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna end with one cute story.
Oh,
My grandson he just turned 9, but when he was 8, he plays football, organized football with pads and helmet and cleats and the whole 9 yards, right? After the game was over, about 3 months ago, he wanted to race me. So I went out on the football field and we raced a 50-yard dash from the 50 to the end zone, right? Now, he beat me at 8 years old, or almost 9, but he beat me, but I was able to run. Now, it was old man run, but I was running. And when I got done and I came to the sidelines, I wasn't breathing hard or anything. And these 2 ladies come up to me and they go, "May we ask how old you are?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm 72. And they said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Actually, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I couldn't have done it." I said, "I finally found something that gave me my life back and my health back." And they said, "What did you find?" And they both became customers. So by me running that dash with my grandson, it mesmerized them. And I didn't even think about it. And when they came over, they said, "May we ask how old you are?" And I thought, yeah, you can ask me. Sure. So, yeah.
Cool. That is fantastic. That's very heartwarming. So now 2 more people have their lives changed and improved.
Yep. And who knows who they'll tell.
And who knows who they'll tell. And that's how it goes. Bob, I love you. You know, I adore you to pieces. I just want to thank you so much. You are just a bright light, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended. You are a bright light. You have a big heart. And I just want to thank you for everything that you do for everyone, not just in your organization, even for people in my organization. I just want to thank you because you have a heart of gold. And the more you share, every time I speak to you, I learn so much. And I love your radio voice. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. People are so blessed to hear you speak. I'm going to find things for you to record for me on this show so that I can have you doing intros and outros for me, because I think people will love to hear that wonderful voice of yours. But thank you for
thank you for having me and putting up with me. I know sometimes it's hard to put up with me, but I really enjoyed talking with you, and thank you so much.
All right. God bless you, my friend and Jim. I love you. We will talk to you very soon again. And there you guys have it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you want to know more about what about these stem cell patches, what is it that they do? All you have to do is put a comment down below here on the YouTube channel. Better yet, if you just go to facebook.com/Lily and I Walker, you see the way my name is spelt with 2 L's in the middle. Just go to Lily and I Walker, comment on my most recent Facebook post, and then let me know that you're interested in the stem cell patches, at which point then I can DM you and I can send you some information. If you don't do it that way, then Facebook puts it as spam and I won't know that you DM'd me. So I want to make sure that if you're trying to reach me, you can connect. And if somebody else told you about the stem cell patches and they referred you to this video to watch Bob Campbell's story, then go back to the person who referred you to this video, because they have inevitably, they'll probably have a special. I just had somebody today who has a lot of different health conditions going on with her. And I got her a gold package. And even though the gold package, I believe you normally get 6 patches, I was able to get her 9 patches instead of the 6 patches through, wholesale distribution and so forth. So there's different types of promos that are going on, and we can make that accessible to you, that if you just go find it someplace online you won't have access to. So, and then you can also reach out to Bob. If Bob has been talking to you about the stem cell patches, I can think of no better person to guide you in this process of getting your body reset and restored back to a happier and healthier whole living place where, who knows, some people have made a change in their career because they've had such an incredible impact with these stem cell patches. Okay, thank you. And let me see where's my little end button. Ciao for now, my friends and gems.
Thank you, Lillian. Bye-bye.